We've been having fun coding, but now it's time to do some designing. We're going to start building out our game's little town. We're going to be using rooms and a whole bunch of other functionality. In order to do so, though, we're going to need some new assets. So on PC, open up File Explorer, and if you're on the Mac, open up Finder, and go to the Assets folder that came with this course. Go to Sprites, Backgrounds, and let's drag in every single asset here into the asset browser in GameMaker Studio 2. Now, we've started to organize our sprites. We have a player subgroup here in the sprites group, and I'm going to make another subgroup to keep these assets in as well, just to keep tidy. I'm going to right-click on sprites, choose Create Group, and call this new group Town Background. And I'm going to click on this barrel sprite, hold Shift, select everything else that we just imported, and drag that into there. Now, feel free to look around. You can see that we've got a barrel, some bushes, rocks, a really big fountain, and this humongous file called spr_towntiles. You can see how big it is. And it doesn't really look like it makes a whole lot of sense. It's got some paths and some weird T-junctions and a bunch of different flowers and grasses, and doesn't look like an actual image. Now, most games build levels and areas with reusable assets that designers can place and nudge to create a scene. In GameMaker Studio 2, we use tiles to do this. They're just as the name implies, tiled graphics that you can use over and over. They're kind of like stamps. So this file, the spr_towntiles, is going to be used as a tile set so that we can create the base layer of a town using just these pieces. So a tile set needs two things to work. It needs the sprite, which is what we have right here, and it needs something called a tile set asset. That's new. It's a different kind of asset that lives here in the asset browser. Now you can see that there's a tile sets group already in my asset browser. You may not have this, but if you want it, you can create that group. We're going to go ahead and create a new tile set asset right now by right-clicking on that tile set group, choosing Create, Tile Set. And you'll see it'll bring up this new thing called a tile set editor. Let's just rename this first and call it tiles_town. And you can see it tells you that your tile set preview will appear here when you select a sprite. So you can click here where it says select sprite, or you can click over here where it says no sprite. And it brings up that little browser. And we're going to navigate to the town background folder and choose that really big spr_towntiles file. And I'm just going to put this one last tree asset where it belongs, just to keep things tidy. So when you're looking at this tile in the tile set editor, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There are some tools right here you can use. There's a grid toggle button that lets you get rid of those grid lines. There are also zoom functions, and you can also hold space on your keyboard and click and drag around to pan. But especially with that grid on, we're not even sure what's going on here. On the tile properties section, there are many options, but we only need to worry about two of them for now. Where it says tile width, let's change that value to 400. And let's change the tile height to be the same thing, 400. Make sure that grid is toggled on. And when it is, you'll see that our tile set starts to make a whole lot more sense. You can see how the stamps work. We have these corner assets, we have vertical and horizontal segments in various configurations, and we have these T-junctions that we can then place. You could imagine that we can make a really long loop or a path that winds and goes in different directions just by stamping these. And you'll see that we also have these different grass and rock and flower configurations. This is going to help us build the base layer for our town.